How's it going, everybody? RazingHel here, and today I'm taking a look at a trading simulator game called Caravan. It's pretty much all there is to the name. It's just Caravan, and it focuses on like the myths and sort of legends of the Arabian Peninsula. It's okay, it's a small little game. I'm going to continue a game that I've already started and pretty much explain how the game works as we go. Okay, so as you can see, right now I'm here out of town. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that because I'd probably get it wrong. And it's really not that important anyway. So what do we have here on the main screen? Well, that's my main character and his two pack animals. One is a donkey and the other is a horse. Now, if we wanted to take a look at my character himself, you can see he is the caravan master. You can have additional characters, but only one master of the caravan. And then, experience, which you get from completing quests and also, engaging in fights, battles. Then we have attributes. In our general attributes, you have stuff like capacity, which determines how much your caravan can carry. Speed, which determines how quickly you move around the map. That's important because you are limited by the amount of water you have. If you run out of water, bad things generally can happen. You have your water consumption, which affects how much water is consumed per day. And then you have your health. In terms of battle, you have offensive, defensive, and cunning. These are basically interchangeable. All they matter for is the little mini game that this game uses to simulate battles. And I have an artifact here. I skimmed over haggling because it's essentially the same system as battle, except it only applies to negotiating with other merchants. But then, like I said, we have an artifact here. You can acquire different artifacts throughout the game, and as you see fit, you can apply them here. In this case, my water consumption is being reduced by 3, which has made a very significant impact on how far I can travel without having to resupply with water. And since, water costs gold, whatever the currency is that they use, I forget what it is called, just call it my fortune. This artifact is actually saving me a fair bit of coin. In addition to the general statistics on my character, we also have skills. Now, as I increase in rank, I'm going to unlock more skills. Currently, I have Preserve Water, which reduces water consumption by 5% per auxiliary. I don't use auxiliaries, so it's not really that useful to me. Then we also have March Order at the moment, which increases the speed of the caravan per one auxiliary. Then I also have my auxiliaries and animals down here. I currently can have 3. I have 2 animals. I haven't found the auxiliaries all that useful. It is rather interesting. In the documentation for this game, the auxiliaries are called slaves, but I guess that was a little bit too controversial to actually do in the actual game, or call them that in the actual game. Here we have a merchant, and you can tell which of these little icons are merchants because they have coins over them. Here's a small nitpick about the game. When I click on the merchants, you shouldn't have to present me with this dialogue. It is pointless. If I didn't want to look at this dude's inventory, I would simply be in here and then I'd click my way out right away. So I would click on this. It should open the trade screen right away. If I don't want the trade screen open, I'll just click the little X to get out of it. It is still one click. The only difference is now to just enter the screen, I have to do 2 clicks because I have to confirm it yes before I ever get here. This is the trade screen. This is where you'll be spending a fair amount of your time because this is a game about trading. You're going to be buying low and selling high as you travel across the Arabian Peninsula. I have a lot of water in my inventory. Obviously, I don't want to sell it because the price here is not very good. On the right side, we have the market, this merchant's inventory, and on the left side, we have mine. The amount of gold you get for, I'm calling it gold, the amount of currency you get is pretty much based upon just arbitrary values that are re-rolled every 10 days, I believe. So let's take a look at some of the other aspects of this user interface. Obviously, I pointed out you can zoom in and out. Let's take a look at the map. Here we have the map of the Arabian Peninsula, like that. And you can see I am currently right at this location. You can move throughout this land pretty simply by clicking on the various cities you want to go to. And as you can see, every time you click on one, they bring up some data about what that city has. Does it have quests? Does it have a guild, a trader, a well, all that kind of stuff. It also shows you the current prices these goods are trading for. As I pointed out, these goods will change over time, so you're going to have to keep up to date on that. You're not going to be able to just rely on a certain good being in one location all the time. Now, the game is a little bit narrative focused. It begins with a story, but overall, I would say most of my time was spent just traveling about the map trading. Now, I probably put about 3 hours into this game as of this recording. So I'm currently at this little oasis right here. We have quests on the left side of the screen. I have my water, my gold. I'm currently on day 37, and we can look at the inventory as well. It's just but this is basically what you saw in the merchant menu, but the difference is here you can open up your inventory, and this is how you can access. For example, I could equip this water skin for my character. That's how you would do that, because there's really no other way to do it. The quest log as well. It's basically what I have. The character portraits are really something else. There's some that are actually quite ghastly. I tweeted one of them. It was actually a bit gruesome. Her expression would look like bloody teeth and all that kind of stuff. It's like a zombie expression, a zombie complexion. I'm not sure who did the art for that, but some of them are a little bit questionable. Like, what were you thinking when you did that? Why do you think that's a good look? The quest log, though, as with most of the UI here, they focus less on functionality and more on aesthetics. You got your paper. It's a callback to days gone by when a lot of user interfaces were designed after their physical, their real world counterparts. Like if you had a document, it was going to look like a piece of paper on a desk, and that was considered desirable because, computers, digital technology was still a bit of a foreign concept that people were trying to get to grasps with, and having that familiar feel to it, I guess, was supposed to ease the learning curve. But I don't feel that is really necessary for games these days. I guess it's a nice change. I would personally prefer it to be more functional. So for example, instead of having these 3 different physical objects here, just have like a menu bar that I can click on. It'd be nice. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm actually en route. I have a quest that I need to move. I have to go to this city, so I'm going to go ahead and travel there, and we're going to see how this goes. So as you can see, my caravan is moving along. You will get much longer caravans as the game progresses. You can see I'm moving along a trail here. My water will go down with time, and from time to time, you will encounter these random events. So in this case, what happened to me? At first, you think you hear the soft bubbling of a nearby water source. Then you realize it's coming from your water skins. Drop after drop, precious water is leaking out. You quickly fix the hole, but the damage is done. So I'm going to lose 5 water now. And one thing I have noticed about this game is if you try to stockpile on water, it does penalize you. You will lose water if you go over a certain amount. I think it's like 40, maybe even 30. If you go over 30 water, the game is going to take it away from you. Sometimes it takes away 10 at a time, sometimes it takes away 5 at a time. You're going to lose a lot more than if you don't have any water. That is just what I've personally experienced in the few hours that I've played. So we're going to have to accept that, and then we have to click the continue journey to move onwards. Random events will pop up from time to time. Now, I'm not seeing any actually pop up. Like right there, I could click on that, and we'll go to that event. Now, these are optional events. You don't have to actually go through these. You could instead just ignore them altogether. But there are, like you saw with the water, there are random events that are not optional. So you have the option, if you pay attention to the map, you see the little prompt, you click on it, and you get some additional flavor events. Now in this case, we see this basically a camel. It says that even though it carries bags, there is nobody in sight it might belong to. Now we'll take it. Let's see what happens. Oh, there we got a camel. Excellent. That's a rather interesting lineup here. We got the small donkey, the medium-sized horse, and the large camel. Click the continue journey, and we'll continue moving. Sometimes the events are good, sometimes they're bad. You're going to have to sort of roll the dice and take your chances with how that all turns out. Now, you might not be able to see it here from the video because it's not all that good quality, but there is a filter applied in front of everything else. I think that this negatively attracts from the experience because it is always static. Now, if you want to apply a certain artistic style to your game, it would look nicer if you actually applied it to the textures rather than just sticking a static filter over it and, you know, having everything else move around behind it. Like I can see the texture is just static on the screen and everything else behind it is moving across it. It's just something that I don't personally appreciate. I could understand, you know, if it was something that was decided later on in the design process and you simply didn't have time to fully implement the textures onto the actual assets, but it seems like a little bit of a lazy approach to applying that effect. Okay, so we have a quest. Let's check the quest log. What do we need to do? We need to confront a person in the city. Yeah, we're in the right city. So let's see here. The bandit actually might be the guy. What is it? Do we have business? Yes, indeed. The widow of the man you murdered sent me to punish you. Okay, I'm probably going to lose this. So he has a lot of health, and this is the battle system. I only have one character. Now you can have multiple characters. I only have one, and we're going to use him. As you can see, I am pretty vastly underpowered compared to him, especially in terms of attacking. He also has more health than I do. So we're going to see how this goes, and I get to explain the battle system here to the best of my ability. Unfortunately, my opponent has the first move, and in my experience, whoever gets to move first will win, which is a bit like tic-tac-toe, and that is kind of understandable because this game is supposed to be based off of a rock, paper, scissors concept. So what you have here are 3 different attributes, and they all cancel each other out. So for example, I have offensive that beats guile. Guile beats defensive, and defensive beats offensive, which really might not make much sense. Defensive beats opponent's offensive. Yeah, well, they really don't matter. There is no real distinction between them. What you're going to be looking to do here is actually change these numbers. Red numbers are bad, green numbers are good. You want as many green numbers as possible on the board. So I'm just going to use this defensive die. It will cancel out that 34 negative, and hopefully I'll take less damage because of it. Down to 15. We have another 50 right here, though. This is a Joker die. I can apply it to any category. So I'm just thinking here. You can tell which attribute these dice will apply to. There are 3 Joker dice on the table at the moment, but you can tell which category they will apply to because of the color. So the blue one it applies to guile, and that's the one I'm thinking about adding this Joker die to. If you look at it right there, Joker die is 50, so obviously that's the preferred choice. Now he has a 10 against me here, which means he'll deal 10 damage. It's basically how it's done. It's all added up, these numbers. Joker die here. I probably want to increase my defense. So we'll see how that goes. So I did some damage to him. Round 2. I did 68 damage. So we're a little bit more even now. We'll see how this turns out. So what am I going to do this turn? I ideally like to go with the big numbers, but in this case, it might not help me a whole lot because I already have a massive advantage there. So instead, I might want to go with 30 and cancel this out. If he increases his defensive, that's going to be bad for me. So I think I'm gonna have to take that one first. He's gonna be dealing 47 damage. What can I do to mitigate this? Probably want to use the 30. That drops him down to 17, and now he's back up to 27. So I did some damage. He's down to 107, but I also took some damage there. This is a good choice. That is also a good choice. I think we'll go with that one, since there's only one of those dice on the table right now, and he added another one to it. What else do we have here? I'm gonna add to this to the guile. He's taking the wild card, which means unfortunately I can't do a whole lot about it. It looks like he's going to be dealing at least 14 damage. Most likely he'll be dealing more. So he has a choice of 2 dice here. One could be the guile die, which he will be applying right here, which I really am not in danger. It would be tied, so it would be good for me to give him the guile dice. I should not give him the defensive die, because if he has defensive, he will increase his, the disparity between my attack and his defense. So I think I'm gonna have to go with that. And there we go. Round 4. It pretty much just continues like this until one side dies. So I'll be back after I'm finished. The fight is over. and I got some experience as a reward, and I completed the quest. So with that quest completed, I now get to travel back and tell this lady of the job that I completed, which is where? I mean, we can take a look at it. Take a look at the quest, and then we click show on map. It's way down here. It's gonna take 2 days. I think, see, this is how you play into some of this. We can visit a merchant here, I believe, right? Yeah, here we have a merchant. We take a look at his goods, and we see what he sells for cheap. In this case, it's raw material. And then I would take a look at the map and see what stops along the way want material, which ones will pay a decent price for it as I stock up. So it looks like right now, this city right here, so it'll pay expensive. Materials are expensive in that city, so we're going to buy some cheap materials here, so that way I don't waste any time. Do these textiles sell for anything? Yeah, they do. They actually sell for quite a bit. So I'm going to be selling some textiles in the city, and then going ahead and buying some raw materials. And you can tell which materials are raw based on the little color next to them. So we actually have a lot of raw materials here, it looks like. So we're going to do that. And then we're going to get back to traveling and travel right down here. 1 day and 20 hours. Should be rather eventful. And then I think we'll pretty much close it out, because that is a lot of what this game has to offer. Right, there was an event that we could have done. Optional event, obviously. A sandstorm. So there is a great variety of events in this game, but you will probably run out after, 5 hours or so. You probably will have seen all of them. So in this case, a sandstorm, we can rest until it's over, 6 hours. Not going to be a big deal. I have more than enough water, but as you can see, if you are running low on water, you might have to risk the consequences of continuing on. I mean, it's a good looking game. I think most of it, for the most part, it's held together quite well. It's put together quite well, I should say. Like, I like the art style of it here. I really don't know what I would call that, but are we supposed to be here? No, we actually wanted to travel all the way down to here. So that'll be another day. Overall, I think Tradewind Legends was a better game. It sort of went with the same theme, except you were sailing ships around the Middle East, and yeah, it was basically the Middle East. So you'd be trading with China, trading with India as somebody based out, like a prince based off of the Arabian Peninsula. And overall, I think it was better for a couple of reasons. I think the battle system was more fleshed out. It was less mini-gamey. It was more like an actual game. But if the more action-oriented thing isn't for you, like this game goes for a real chilling out vibe. And if the action-oriented stuff, combat especially, isn't for you, then Caravan might be the preferable of the two. Personally, I liked Tradewind Legends better, and that was a game that I've played before playing Caravan. So it's very similar to Caravan, as I've pointed out here. Your journey leads you past some seemingly abandoned ruins in the middle of a dried up oasis. We're just going to continue on the journey. Obviously, we could be missing out on something cool there, but it could also be another battle, and I don't really want to deal with that right now. One of the reasons I don't like auxiliaries is because every time you get in a battle with them, they seem to get killed. It's like, if you take any damage, they're the first thing that seems to bite the dust, which I don't necessarily care for, because you're going to be investing about 200 gold if you buy them at a market. So you're not going to get that investment back. Let's take a look here. We covered merchants. They're obviously citizens. They are usually the ones who give you quests. We're going to go to the merchant, of course, and I'm going to go ahead and sell these items. So these items all sell in this city for expense. Right, there's that ghastly picture I was talking about. That's actually quite creepy. We're going to sell all of these goods because they're going to sell here for quite a bit more than I initially bought them, and that's how we turn a profit. Obviously, only water is selling at a good price here, so I'm just going to go ahead and finish that trade, and then we can also look here. Right here is a guild master, and he will offer training and hire. This is where you can hire auxiliaries as well as additional animals. As you can see, about 200 to 250 for the base stuff. You can also upgrade your hero if you have enough experience here, and also hire additional heroes. I've not actually done that because I didn't really see a need to. You can only have one hero per battle anyway, so I didn't really see the point of it. I'm sure there is, it's just I haven't gotten that deep into the game yet. So overall, that's pretty much the extent of it. You're going to be traveling from city to city, trading goods, and hopefully completing quests in an attempt to eventually finish the story. There is a narrative overshadowing the entire game here, and although it is pretty slowly paced, I think that it's enough to still draw the player's interest in continuing to hear how it plays out. It's supposedly based off of Arabian Nights. I'm not exactly sure how true that is because I have never read Arabian Nights. So you're just going to have to find that one out for yourself, I guess, if you're familiar with it. Overall, like I said, I think it is a decent game. It's fairly well put together. I think the price is a little bit high, $15 for this. I think it's more of a $10 game compared to a lot of other things that I've seen at that price range. But, you know, judge for yourself. It's relative. It's relative to your financial situation, obviously. So that is Caravan. Thank you very much for watching as always, and I hope to see you next time.